We are now live here, Performance Racing League for the Hungarian Grand Prix. We're just in the short qualifying at the moment as we see Tone setting the fastest lap of the session so far. I'm your lead commentator, Will Ans. I'm here with the Yuppie, whose name I nearly said completely wrong for no apparent reason, for this great race.
What's going on? We're back, live again.
Yeah, we are live and ready for a fantastic race. Monaco without the barriers. We've already seen an issue with Kadir hitting the wall, but he managed to carry on going, so... It's going to be certainly a race of attrition. Tyre management is going to play massively into this one, I think. So strategy will be important. Now, talking of strategy, we can have a little look now, see what tyre everybody's out on. I would imagine most are going to be out on the soft tyre to get themselves that grip advantage. But we do see Kenny 25 and... also Zandvoort 2020 maybe trying to do the laps on the mediums. Perhaps they're banker times or perhaps they are actual attempts, but Kenny's coming into the pits now, so I think he's going to come out on a fresh set of softs, I'd imagine. It's looking like everybody is going to be pretty restricted on strategy unless they're starting outside of the top 10. So we'll have to see. AWS graphics I'm sure will provide us a bit of a hint as to what the drivers are going to be thinking of doing when it comes to coming into the pits for their stops.
Alright. Link is posted. Crisis averted. Yeah, Kelly Robb putting in 1:14.0. The track is definitely warming it up. That's insane.
Yeah, it's a fantastic time by Cali Robb. I'm sure Tone is going to try and have an answer to that one as well. We've got a bit of a fight for pole position, I think, today. We've got a few drivers who've got a chance. A lot of it is going to come down to just how much you can hook up your final run, because that's when the track is going to have the most grip. It's going to be when the best times are going to be getting set, I'd imagine, with track evolution coming into play.
Yeah, the soft to hard strategy is probably the one we'll see. But it's difficult. I mean, depending on what lap you pick for the softs, it's probably lap 8 or so. The hards are toast, especially if you trail someone. It's really, really tough to make those last.
Yeah, the dirty air is really going to take its toll on the tyres. We could see our leader, whoever that ends up being after the first few corners, perhaps just trying to control the pace and look after his tyres while everybody else struggles in the dirty air. But we'll see, because you would think a two-stop would be faster, but you've got to take into account that this is a really difficult track to get an overtake done at, and so if you get stuck behind someone, that's your whole race potentially ruined. So I think the one stop is probably going to be the way to go, with just a lot of tyre management.
Looks like everybody has their lap put in except Kenny.
Yeah, we saw him out before on the mediums, then he pitted again, and he's come back out on the medium tyres. So Kenny, he's certainly prioritising the race over qualifying here, it would appear, with trying to get a good strategy. He's on his out lap now though, so I'm sure he'll be able to get around to try and put a lap in. And we've got, I think Stein is not on a fast lap. He's coming up behind Kenny though, so I think he might just back off. I think Stein will be starting his flying lap. No, I think he's on his in lap actually, is Stein. So if we have a look at Tone is on his fast lap, because we see him coming through the chicane now. Keeping it together where Kadir lost it last time out. Staying within the lines. You've got to remember the track limits can be very harsh around here, so you've really got to watch out that you don't put any wheels over those white lines. You set the fastest sector 2 so far. Here he comes through the final corner. He's just got a very short one up to the line now. He's just going to try and keep it clean. foot to the floor, he crosses the line, and it is a 1:13.8. That's provisional pole position there by Tone. That's a fantastic purple lap by him. I'm sure he'll be very happy with that one. He's not going to have enough fuel to go for another lap, so that will be it for him. He may be able to get out for another one right at the death of the session, though.
Yeah, Tier 1 showing why they're Tier 1. That's a full second, I believe, full second delta between all positions between the two different tiers.
Yeah, I mean, they are the best that Performance Racing League has to offer, so we do see some absolutely fantastic times put in by people like Tone and Renee, so we'll see what the pole time will be now, but I dare predict that perhaps a driver may actually go faster than that. They are all going to have time to get another outlap in and to set another flying lap, so let's see if Tone's McLaren teammate Calirob or perhaps Stein or Hubali could maybe put a challenge in for that. Perhaps even Zandvoort will, or T-Wedo, we'll have to see. Blank Kai, I think, retiring there. It's going to be the end of his qualifying session. Stein is on his outlap right now. Hubali may be on a fast one here though as he comes through the final corner. Currently in P4, he crosses the line. Where will he be? He's going to stay in P4. But he's got to have enough fuel to go for another run there, so we'll have to see. We've got Zandvoort coming into the pits. He's going to have to be really quick if he wants to try and get another lap in.
Oof, T-Widow running in a lot of traffic.
He's got to have a lot of traffic there. They have managed to get out of the way of him though. The racing point I think of Hates, iConnect I think it was, having to actually go onto the grass to get out of his way there, but let's hope he hasn't lost much time. But if you look on his dash, he has got, I think that's 4 laps of fuel in, so perhaps T-Widow trying to set a few flying laps just in case he makes a mistake on any of them, but we'll see if that actually ends up being beneficial to him, because there's not long left of the session now. But if he goes on another flying lap, he will get round to then start yet another, I think, barring any big mistakes by him. See, Hubali's got an invalidation. We've got Stein as well, I think, is pushing now on a hot lap. He's on the second little straight, if you could even call it a straight, before the left-hander. Downhill, a very technical and difficult corner. The Haas car there getting out of the way of him. Hopefully he hasn't lost too much time there, but he mustn't have lost too much, because he's just set a purple first lap as we see T-Widow retire. That is a purple first sector, sorry, by Stein's app. See the car leaning right then left as he comes through the chicane. Then it's just long corner after long corner. This is how you can see the tyres must take a total it must be totally brutal, should I say, for the tyres with the amount of long right and left handers and then short straights. There's going to be a lot of temperature building up on those tyres in the race, I think. We've seen quite a few lockups there by Stein, but he's keeping it together relatively well. He's coming through the last corner now. He has made a few mistakes, but none too massive. He's going to cross the line. He's going to stay third fastest. He does have the time to go for another one, but he's not. He's backed off. So let's see. I think we've got Calirob here on a fast lap in P2 currently. Tone's on his out lap. We'll see if he can get round. He should be able to get round. He's just coming up to the final corner now. But we'll stay with Calirob as he sets the fastest second sector of the session so far. Yeah, hopefully that Ferrari can get out of the way, but he might not do, because he's got to try and set himself up for his own outlap there. I think that's Hollow. Yeah, it's Hollow OMG on an outlap. So gets Cali gets a bit of a toe, but it's probably going to hurt him quite a bit through the final corner, and he can't improve. So it's looking like this will be pole for Tone, but he is going to try and extend his advantage at the top of the timesheets. We'll have to wait and see if he can or not, as he has just set a fastest first sector, but he's into the wall. It was going well for Tone, but he's just completely lost it there. He's got some damage, so that's going to spell the end of his qualifying session. Hopefully he can just keep out of the way of all the other drivers, and he does retire now. from the session. I think that's going to be basically it. Kadir is off the track as well, so he's not going to be able to improve on his time. We've got a lot of drivers in the pits. Steinmine as well in ERS mode 0, so he's not going to be putting another lap in. Iconex just crosses the line. He stays P14. We'll follow along with Hollow, but he's invalidated his lap 2, so he's the last driver out there on the track, and he has invalidated. So I think this is how it's gonna shape up to be for the grid for the race. I don't think anybody has gotten any grid place penalties, so we are going to see, I think, Tone on pole position here for the Hungarian Grand Prix. His teammate Calibob alongside him. The McLaren's locking out the front row of the grid, and the Renault's then locking out the second row of the grid with Stein in third, Hubali in fourth, T-Widow just behind the first Mercedes in fifth. Then we've got the Zandvoort 2020 in the Red Bull, KDSX, Kadir, Young Ants, and then Jay rounding out the top 10.
Alright, there we go.
Yeah, there's confirmation for everybody there. Tone on pole position with Calibob, Steinzap, Hubali and T-Widow behind.
Pretty tight spread between the top 10 in terms of pace, so should make for an interesting race. McLaren taking the 1-2.
Yeah, fantastic result for the McLaren team. But yeah, the whole of the P1 to P11 split by less than a second, so this could be quite an entertaining race with drivers relatively close to each other on pace. So look at that, Zandvoort and KDSX 6th and 7th split by only 0.03 of a second, so yeah, I'm pretty excited for the race start here.
Get a glimpse of the weather report. Looks like a dry race.
Okay, so we're not going to have weather. We won't have any weather coming in to shake up the party. Should just be a straight race to the finish. But yeah, of course, there is the element that we could see VSCs, we could see safety cars coming into this one, so we'll see if the drivers can keep it clean enough. But we've already seen in qualifying a couple of crashes, so it's hard to imagine that there won't be any in the race.
Taking a while. Hopefully, there we go. Drivers probably perfecting their tire strategy.
Yeah, all the drivers giving some time to make sure they've got the amount of fuel in the car that they want for the start and the right tyre compound, so that's what they're doing right at this moment in time. But we should see the grid forming up relatively shortly. Here we go, as everybody is getting ready there. And there we see the drivers lined up for the first time as we start the formation lap. We've got Hubali going a bit early there. He'll have to just get off the power and let Tone back through again. But yeah, here we go. The drivers just trying to get their tyres warmed up. Tone not going too slowly though. He does of course set the pace for the formation lap, so it's up to him whether he goes fast or slow, but he's keeping up a decent pace. See So yeah, maybe not as worried about the tyre temps as the guys behind. He's not doing as much swerving quite yet. Obviously the driver's trying to go left, right, and get that heat into their tyres to make them really grip into the track surface so they can get a good launch.
Interesting. There's a chance for a lot of the drivers to make up some points there because Steinmeier, who's second in the championship race, is qualified 11th, so he's got some ground to make up. Renee absent this week, so that leaves Steinzap in P3 to make the most out of today. But a lot of the drivers that are trailing in the championship can make up a lot.
Well, yeah, this is what racing is all about. You've got to make use of opportunities when they fall to you. So we'll see what Steinmeier can do, but he's got a big challenge trying to make the overtakes around this track. Are you still here in the party, Yuppie? Okay, so it seems like the Yuppie may be having a few issues, but that's okay. We can get the race started. Hopefully he'll be joining back with us soon. Some connection issues there for him, but that's fine. The show does go on. We see the drivers lining up now. We're about to go to 5 red lights here for the Hungarian Grand Prix. We're ready to get going. We're waiting for the race director to press the button. He does. We'll go to 5 red lights. They're on for a very long time, but it's lights out and away we go. We see the drivers all getting away pretty cleanly, but that's a good start by Tone. He's going to be ahead of his McLaren teammate coming into turn 1. There's a Red Bull there of Zandvoort. He's made up a position, but look, Tone and Calibob are fighting. They're side by side. It looks like Calibob is going to take the lead into the turn 3, the left-hander. We've got the Renault Fubali trying to go around the outside, but that's not going to work out. Zandvoort making sure he's made the move stick there on Steinzap. All the drivers looking like they've gotten away pretty cleanly so far, though. We've got Calibob leading the way with Tone in 2nd place. Fubali then rounding off the podium places in the Renault in 3rd. Then we've got Zandvoort. We do have yellow flags there because I think that's going to be Hollow who's had an issue. Yeah, Hollow is completely off the track there, but we'll go back to the fight at the front. That's not a good start for Tone. He's going to really struggle to get back past Calibob around this track because, as we mentioned in the qualifying, it can be very difficult to make moves around this track. It's mostly corners and not much straights. I'm sorry if you can't see anyone just this second. The Yuppie has had, as I mentioned, some issues, so we're going to try and get him back into the lobby.
Cody's, they hate me.
And here he is. Back from battle. He has returned triumphantly to the 2nd seat in the commentary box. So, let's see. We saw Calibob got Tone from the start, Yuppie. I don't know if you managed to see it or not. I think he disconnected before that. Hollow went straight into the wall in the 2nd sector, so he's got some big damage, as well as T Widow, who's also in the pits getting a new front wing, I think. So we've got Calibob, Tone and Fubali. Zandvoort did a good job getting past Stein at the start, making some good overtaking moves there to get his Red Bull up into P4. See, Zandvoort is pretty close there to Fubali, though. He could be trying to make the move for 3rd position. He's tucked up in the slipstream. He's going to go down the inside of the Renault driver. We'll see will the Renault try and switch back. Yes, he will. Zandvoort's got the move so far, but we'll see. Can Fubali come back at him? I don't think he can. He's a little bit too far back, and that's a great move by Zandvoort to take P3. Let's see if he can maybe hunt after those McLaren drivers up ahead of him and try and maybe make a play for an even higher position, but that's a great start by Zandvoort. He's up 2 places in 2 laps as we see Tone picking up a 3-second time penalty for track limits, and then there's Tone. Tone is in the wall. Massive crash there from our pole sitter. Rejoins the track, and that's quite dangerous. People swerving to avoid him, but he's got big damage. He's going to have to come into the pits and get a new front wing, so that's going to promote Zandvoort up into 2nd place. So from 5th to 2nd, that's a great start there from Zandvoort. Tone having even more issues, I think. He's limping around very slowly indeed, and look at that, that's big damage on the front right of his car. That front wing is going to need replacing. He's going to be losing a lot of downforce, unfortunately. See, Calibob still leading the way. He's got a 2-second gap to Zandvoort behind him. He's really pushing now. He's just at the fastest lap of the race, so Calibob can't breathe easy. He's going to have to keep on his toes because Zandvoort is flying up to the back of him if he can keep this pace up. We've got, I think that was Stein has just made a move perhaps on Hugh Barley. Maybe that was team orders to get Steins up ahead with his 3-second time penalty. But he's going to be up into P3. But that time penalty may really hinder him. We'll see, the gap between 1st and 2nd is staying pretty consistent as we see Hugh Barley also picking up a 3-second time penalty. Those Renault cars struggling to stay within the white lines here.
Yeah, it's a technical track. I mean, that line left, you can swing out wide and you'll pick up a time penalty pretty easily.
Yeah, we're already seeing that for 5 different drivers who have got time penalties now, so yeah, it's gone bad to worse for Tone though after he got his time penalty hitting the wall. He's now dead last in the McLaren. That's completely taken him out of contention, it would appear, for the win, but unless he gets incredibly lucky with a safety car, it doesn't look like Tone is going to really get a look in here. It's going to have to do a it's going to have to be a big comeback drive for him to try and get some decent points here, but we see Steinlein, he is up 3 positions, but he does have that penalty, so he's going to have to try and keep it within the track limits. We're going to see a little bit of fighting going on behind him though. Terrible is under threat here from Tiny Darth Spike, who tries to go around the outside of turn 1. Tiny Darth Spike hanging it in there. He's going to go down the inside now to turn 3. Oh, and that's a fantastic move, but Terrible is not going to let him get away with it easily. He's going to try and hang it around the outside, which turns to the inside for this corner, and they're still side by side. He's got to try and maybe go for the move. Oh, he has to be very careful because that is not a corner where you can go too wide very easily. And we see yellow flags again. Is that more misery for Tone? Yes, it is. Another pit stop for Tone. Massive wing damage. And yeah, it's looking like Tone is not going to have a chance to even score points in this race.
He retires.
And there he is. He's retiring out of this race. Disastrous for Tone. It went from so good to so bad in the space of 4 laps. So that's going to have a big effect on the championship. He's going to really have to try and come back at our next race. But we see Calirob is starting to now just pull out that gap to Zandvoort. Zandvoort is losing a few tenths a lap now to Calirob. As we see, that's Hugh Barley. Hugh Barley has had a massive crash. That's a safety car deployed. If we look at it from the onboards of the cars behind, a few cars coming into the pits, but that is an absolutely humongous crash there for Hugh Barley. I can't wait to see the POV of that one. As we see Blank picking up a drive-through for speeding under the safety car. What a silly penalty to get. He's not going to be very happy with himself there. But what a crash that was for the Renault driver. He must have hit that barrier at some force to end up facing sideways with, I think, only 2 wheels left on that Renault.
This will be interesting. I mean, the safety car out. This is early on. I don't know. Do drivers pit here and switch to the hards? It might be too early.
A few drivers have come in. We'll see. Maybe some people are using the opportunity to maybe try and make a 2-stop, which I think is what's gone on a lot. We've got Frosty.
Force people to do the 2-stop.
Yeah, we've got Frosty, Kenny, and T Widow on the hards, maybe trying to take them to the end. But look at the amount of drivers now, from basically from 6th place all the way to 18th. Everybody is on the medium tyres with the exception of the 3 aforementioned drivers. So they're, I think, committing to a 2-stop with the medium tyres because there's no way they're going to get near to the end. We'll see what Caliweb will do. We're riding on board with him right now. Does he use the chance to come into the pits? Yes, he does. And Zandvoort has got to follow him in. So this is going to be absolutely massive for the outcome of this race. What tyres these drivers go on to. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably the mediums, Stein and Jay. Also in, I'm assuming KDSX will follow. Yes, he will. We'll stay on board with Cali Robb, and he does switch to the medium tyres. He's been held up in the pits. He's been held up in the pits there by Stein, and Zandvoort's jumped him. Zandvoort has jumped him in the pit lane. Really, really bad there for Cali Robb. He's gone from having a 3.5 second lead to dropping down to second net. Net second place there. The only drivers ahead of him haven't pitted, so Zandvoort is in a net race lead, but how could this play into the hands of the drivers like Tiny Darthspike and Terrible that haven't pitted, but their mediums are only 6 laps old? Yes, they're not going to have as much grip or as much longevity as the fresh mediums, but the difference won't be too great, possibly, so we'll see. Could this play massively into the hands of Tiny and Terrible, T. Darcy? Can they make a play to try and maybe get on the podium using the strategy? We'll have to wait and see, but it's set up a very interesting dynamic for the remainder of the race. We do still have 28 laps left, so there's a lot of time for stuff like that to happen, and that's how easily a safety car can get called out. You know, Hugh Barley is a top driver here in this league, and even he made a massive mistake, so yeah, anybody is capable of making a mistake and causing a safety car, so yeah, I'm sure there could be many twists and tails remaining of this Hungarian Grand Prix. So there's not much action on track for you right now as we're watching the cars follow the safety car. What was that, Yuppie?
Yeah, did Tony disconnect, or did he still see his car?
I'm not too sure. I don't know, perhaps he retired in the wrong place and that's caused the AI to take over. I'm not 100% sure. But I'd imagine that was a conscious retirement because he did have 2 massive crashes and was at the back of the field, so yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that one. I'm sure, I guess only he knows that, but yeah, maybe he shouldn't have, because he might have an opportunity. He may have had an opportunity with a safety car. You never know.
Right.
But yeah.
Shot him an invite. Let's see if he's just having connection issues.
And you got to think back to yesterday's race, though, Yuppie. I mean, the hard tyres, they can last around here if you preserve them properly. See, Monkey Mafia, I think it was Monkey Mafia 99 yesterday taking the hard tyres 32 laps. So we'll have to watch.
Really? That's insane.
We'll have to watch drivers like JC and Steinlein, because they might be able to get to the end here without even making another pit stop. Hugh Barley has now left the session, which is to be expected, as iConnect picks up a 3-second time penalty, I think that was, for or 5 seconds, sorry, for making contact with T. Darcy. Not the sort of thing you want to be doing under the safety car. There's not much to be gained or lost when you're just trundling around like this, so to get penalties for your conduct on track under a safety car is yeah, it's just a way to screw up your race unnecessarily, really. But we'll see. Tone's AI now up a place. Tone bot activate. We'll have to wait and see. Is Lando Bot's career over? Is Tone bot replacing him? Who knows? But look, iConnect's getting close to T. Darcy again there. They just need to calm down a little bit. They don't want to be getting penalties under the safety car, because you can really throw away a good position just with one penalty, so.
Oof, close again.
Yeah, so I'm sure this will probably be the last lap of the safety car, I would imagine. I'm guessing race control will call it in this lap. Would seem a bit pointless to do an extra lap after this.
Yeah, I think, at least from what I see, Steinzap could be in a really good position. P8 right now, but on the hard, everyone in front of him is on the medium.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Steinzap has got a great opportunity here as well. So I'm actually really excited to see the strategy here. This has gone from an interesting race to what I would call an incredibly intriguing race. So many different strategies playing out, so many different ways of taking this, and then so many variables. Will there be another safety car? Will there be a VSC? If there is a safety car or a VSC, where on track will each driver be? Will they be able to make use of it or not? All these factors are all going to contribute to who the winner could be here today. So yeah, you do have to just love a race like this. And yeah, safety car is going to be in this lap. We'll ride on board with Tiny. We'll see the action through the field at the safety car restart. Hopefully the Haas driver, the Haas driver will be hoping he can get away quite well here. They come through the final corner. We'll wait for him to bolt. And he's bolted, I think he's bolted early. We've got Steinmeier picking up a 5-second time penalty, but we'll try and stay with this view to get a wide view of the straight. Tiny leading though. Iconex though, he's gone down the inside of T. Dawson, forcing Dawson a little bit wide, and Haytite is going to try and sneak through there into P3. T. Dawson then coming back through to retake the position. We have got yellow flags, and there was a collision there near the back, but we've got 3 wide through turn 3 there with the McLaren and the Alpha Tauri, the Racing Point as well in there. Calirob going around the outside of Iconex. Big crash there, big crash with Calirob and Iconex. There's wing damage there for I think both drivers. And we see another collision there. Young Ants was on the inside, and I think Calirob has just came straight across him. We'll see if the stewards will have anything to say about that after the race. But what an eventful restart that was, and we're lucky we haven't got a safety car straight after it. We'll see, the side by side there was the Alpha Tauris, and we've got Kenny losing positions as well. Something's gone on there. He's been forced wide perhaps, maybe. T. Dawson getting past KDSX, and they've made contact with Calirob there. The Red Bull has to leave the track to try and avoid it. We see a bit of carbon fibre flying. Calirob there on the inside. He has got big damage. That's going to really affect his race. Steinmeier is now back past him. He may have to pit again. We'll watch and see. No, it looks like he's going to try and soldier on with the damage. Kenny has been passed by Kadir and Frosty as well. We've got yellow flags again in Sector 3. I think that is Kadir. Yeah, that's Kadir there. He's in the wall. That's big wing damage for him. He's going to have to come into the pits. Wow, I can't breathe.
Insane. Tiny Dart, terrible net winner. Still in P1, P2. Tiny Dart gaining. Making a nearly 2-second gap between the two.
And KDSX has just picked up a 3-second time penalty, as has Young Ants. Look how close Steinzap is as well to Iconex there. They're going to be fighting, I think. Steinzap has got a better exit. He's going to look at maybe going down the inside.
Interesting.
No, Steinzap is on the soft tyres. He's just come out of the pits, and he's gone straight around the outside there of Iconex, who just didn't have an answer for him on the fresh hards. And we have another yellow flag there. I think, is that perhaps Kenny with an issue? It's difficult to see. I think it was Hollow, because look, he's gone wide. He's got big damage on his front wing. I think he's going to have to pit as well. He is going to have to pit. It'll be interesting to see what tyre compound he comes out on. And Zandvoort has gotten past Terrible. Terrible's going to try and do the switch back, perhaps try and get the better exit, but I think Zandvoort on those fresher medium tyres is going to be able to make that position stick. And yes, he has. The Red Bull driver up into P2, the net race lead, and Calirob down into P9. It's looking like, with that damage as well that Calirob has got, it's looking like it's going to be Zandvoort's race to lose. But I don't want to curse the guy with the commentator's curse. Let's hope that doesn't happen. We're riding on board with J4C. We've seen, I think that was just Calirob as well, picking up a time penalty. Most drivers with time penalties now. Only Kadir, T. Dawson, Jay, Haytite, Terrible, Zandvoort and Tiny that don't have the damage. They don't have the time penalty, sorry, I misspoke there. But we'll see how quickly Zandvoort can catch up to Tiny. Obviously Tiny is a very good driver in his own right, but we're going to really be able to see here what the tyre delta is between the 11 lap old hards and the 4 lap old hards. The medium, sorry. As, he's going to be a little bit too far back to get the DRS this lap, but I think in a lap or two he is likely going to be able to look at making a pass on Tiny. Haytite is also within a second of Terrible. He's going to have the DRS, but only just within a second, so no chance of them to make a move. And we've got a crash there at the final corner, I think that is. I think that's, yeah, that's Kenny. He's had a crash. He's taken out the board on the right hand side as well, just for the sake of it. He hasn't got any damage. He's on the 6 lap old hards, but he's got to have lost a couple positions there, and Tonebot up into P14. Go on, Tonebot. Tonebot for president.
P14. What a recovery race.
Well, I mean, we're going to look at you look at how embarrassing it is. Alex Albon getting outscored so much by Verstappen, but imagine Tone getting outscored by Tonebot. Helmut Marko.
Only 5 drivers without penalties right now.
We'll be laughing.
6 with Kadir and P19. Crazy.
Yeah, not sure if Kadir counts. Perhaps Kadir will want to actually retire from the race, so Kadirbot can take over. Seeing the rise of the AI drivers, looks like we're watching Cars 2 with Jackson Storm, the new technology, taking over the racetrack. But Calibob is going to try and make a move here on T-Widow. T-Widow's had a bit of oversteer. They're going to try and go around the outside, perhaps of the last corner. We can't do, but look at that. There's Frosty trying to sneak it down the inside as well, and it looks like he's going to be trying to make a pass on Calibob. Calibob's race going from bad to worse. Also T-Widow up ahead, trying to maybe make the move as Frosty goes down the inside on Calibob. Calibob see if he can switch back as well, but he does have that damage, which is really going to hinder him in these on-track fights. T-Widow trying to follow behind Steinmine, who is right up the gearbox of T. Darcy, only 2/10 separating those two drivers. He's gonna stay behind him for the fast left-hander. Oh, no, he's not. He's gonna have a look under the inside. We're gonna see T-Widow picking up a 3-second time penalty, but Steinmine really just harassing T. Darcy here. They come down to the chicane and T. Darcy keeps it ahead, but look at these drivers. We've got 5 drivers so close to each other, and yeah, good spot in there because Zandvoort has closed up on those fresher tyres. We'll see if he can maybe go to make a move. As they come onto the straight, he's gotten a good exit, I think, from the final corner. He's got his overtake on. DRS wide open. Tiny's got a bit of distance, so he's going to go and move slightly defensively, and that is some late braking there by Zandvoort to bring himself into contention for the next straight. Trying to get that good exit. Looks like Tiny will just be a little bit too far ahead though. Yeah, Tiny's just going to keep the position for now as we see Steinmine getting past T-Widow. Frosty could have a look in as well. We'll see if T-Widow can maybe try and come back at Steinmine, but we're going to ride on board and stay with Frosty's POV because we've gotten a good view of this fight as T-Widow tries to go back around the outside of Steinmine. He has a little bit of lock up on the rear. They do touch. T-Widow catches it though. I don't think any damage was done there to Steinmine's wing as well, so it's getting a bit, if you'd pardon the pun, a little bit Frosty 137 out there with all this fighting. But look, Calibob's gotten past Frosty. Steinmine picking up a 3-second time penalty as well. But there is some great fighting in amongst this mid-pack. It seems like the order changes every single lap with all the overtakes that go on down that straight. And Haytite is well up behind Terrible F1 as well. He'll maybe be trying to look at making a move again down the straight.
For a move down the main straight here.
We'll see how close he can actually keep to Tiny down through the last corner, because that's what dictates whether you're going to be able to make the move most of the time, is going to be on your exit, because you really struggle with the dirty air being the car behind, and he just doesn't have the ERS to give himself that top speed advantage. We'll see if he can make a move here. He's closer than he was on the last lap, but look at that, the concertina effect. Tiny Darth Spike getting a little bit, pulling a little bit of a gap in the early acceleration zone, and Zandvoort just has to stay behind again, but I think he can probably relax though. He can probably wait a couple laps as we see Tiny picking up the 3-second penalty on the inside of turn 5. Let's see, Zandvoort, we just see him, look how closely he can follow Tiny, but there's just nowhere to make a move. Tiny going defensive into every corner, even when it's not an overtaking opportunity. Tiny's terrified of Zandvoort behind him. You'd think being Zandvoort he could put up with these fast corners, so let's see. He's got to try and keep it really close there. He washes out a little bit wide. Tiny though, he gets the back end of Tiny getting a little bit booky. We'll see if it's going to give Zandvoort the opportunity, but again, maybe Zandvoort just needs to conserve his ERS a little bit because he's really struggling. So is Tiny though, but not to the extent that Zandvoort is. And it looks like we just see a copy and paste every single lap of the same thing. Zandvoort getting close to Tiny, but not quite close enough. Tiny retaining the position and then holding him up for another lap. We'll see. He's going to have to try and maybe even make the move in an unorthodox position. Maybe try and get down the inside at the chicane.
Is that raindrops I see?
And I think that is rain, Yuppie. That is rain. As if this race wasn't crazy enough. We've got Haytite looking at making the move on Terrible. He switched backed him. And look, the track visibly wet already. It's only been raining for about 10 seconds, but you can already tell the track has gotten so much darker. The clouds completely covering the sky now. When it rains, it pours. Well and truly, you are not wrong there, Yuppie, as we see, yeah, we see the drivers are all over the curbs as well.
Another look at this. Closing the gap ever so slightly. It's all about this final exit.
Let's see if he can, let's see if he's going to have to wait and make the move on intermediate tyres if it takes much longer. But look, Tiny going defensive much earlier on in the straight. You can tell that this is Zandvoort's chance. He's going to dart to the inside. Tiny's going to leave him the space. We're going to watch the offboard as he gets down the inside of Tiny. Tiny trying to hold it around the outside instead of going for the switchback. But look, Zandvoort is going to get the DRS there. The second bite the cherry, which just lets him keep ahead. Tiny falling back to second place. And look, we've got an issue there. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 1. I think that might be Jay, who was struggling on the dry tyres in these conditions. And I think these guys may have made the right call coming into the pits already. We just saw briefly there T. Dawson's rear end getting a little bit loose through that corner. Callyweb getting past Kenny in the pits as Kenny's serving one of his penalties. And that's another thing to consider. All these guys with the 3-second time penalties, as we see Tonebot making his pit stop. Or they're all going to have to serve their penalties when they come into the pits. That's really going to hurt people like Tiny, KDSX and Steinmine, who has just gotten past Jay. That's insane. And we'll see, look, Jay's got a chance to make another move, and look how much they're struggling out there. They're going so slowly, you can just see they've got no grip at all. Steinmine just not even able to feather the throttle. And the amount of curbs as well you need to take around here means when it starts raining as well, you've just got no chance. They should have pit, I think, a lap earlier because it's certainly intermediate weather time now. And look how slow they're going. This is like watching Formula 4. Steinmine just really struggling to keep it on the track. We see T. Dawson struggling to keep it in a straight line. He's going to be coming into the pits as well. So all of the drivers are going to be coming out on the intermediate tyres. If it keeps up like this, Yuppie, do you think we may see some wet weather tyres having to come into play?
I don't know. I'm doing my dance. Doing my rain dance. I'm hoping for more wet weather.
Yeah, but look, if we have a look now through the leaderboard, we have got, of course, Zandvoort in first place. He's out there pretty comfortably. Tiny then following up in second. Terrible is now up into third place, so some great driving from him. T-Widow just behind, so that's a Mercedes 3-4. Young Ants then is going to be following in fifth, and yeah, if we were at risk from safety cars before, we certainly are going to be at risk of safety cars now. because there just isn't hardly any grip out there for the drivers, and it's just corner after corner after corner. You make one mistake, you lose your concentration one bit, and you're off into the barriers. So yeah, you don't have much chance to recompose yourself around here because it's just relentless, turn after turn after turn. And Frosty is up close behind KDSX. There's not much of a gap there.
Do you think these intermediates can last the rest of the race?
Be interesting to see, but I think, is that Young? No, it's not Young Ants, it's Young Ants' teammate Blank who's had an issue there. He doesn't have any wing damage. I think maybe he just had a bit of a spinella, and he got passed by the best driver in the field. No, it's not Tone, it's Tone Bot. They're in 18th position. Zandvoort just controlling the race. He's got nice amounts of ERS to play with. Obviously he's not going to be using much through the corners, but to address what you said, 15 laps on intermediates, I think that's going to be definitely plausible here. It's definitely going to be something I think that's going to be relatively comfortable, actually. I don't think they should have to worry about that. I think there's only going to be a tyre change now if the weather changes enough. But right at this second, it's looking like it's neutralised the race to a degree. We'll see. We've got Frosty and Calirob very close together through the first sector. Calirob might be looking at making a move. No, he decides to be smart, and he stays behind as we see Frosty ahead of him going a little bit wide and picking up a penalty. He could make a move into here, but it would be one hell of a dive. He has a think about it, but he decides, actually, I want to continue being alive. And now he goes down the inside of Frosty. Frosty giving him the opportunity, but they've made some contact there. Calirob is off onto the grass. Frosty behind is off completely into the wall, so I think he may well have some wing damage there. We can't quite see yet from the camera footage, but he is certainly struggling to keep it on the road. He's just gotten passed by Steinmine, who's taken P11.
Frosty
you look on the offboard, and yeah, there he is. On the left-hand side, he is missing an end plate, so... Yeah, we see again how treacherous it can be trying to overtake in these conditions. You're always going to get opportunities, drivers are always going to make mistakes, but when you go for those opportunities, it can be very risky. It's hard to see who was at fault there, because we originally saw the mistake from Frosty, which allowed Cali down the inside, and then the camera angles didn't quite show us the greatest view of what happened there, but all we know is that it wasn't good. Calirob's gotten a wing change clearly in his pit stops, though. He's not running with any damage anymore. He's only P8 though, so he's not too far away from some higher up positions, but it's looking pretty comfortable for Zandvoort in first place. Obviously with Tiny, he's pulling the gap out to from Tiny each lap, I believe, and Tiny does have that penalty, so it's looking like he's pretty comfortable.
Penalty from Tiny, so it's
yeah,
terrible race to lose. He's 8.3 seconds out. If you can close that gap, that would be P2.
Yeah, I mean, it's Terrible's race to lose in the race for P2, but I think it's Zandvoort's race to lose in the grander scheme of things, because he's really controlling this race now. It's a great drive by him. We've seen a lot of mistakes being made by the cars with the most pace. And is that Blank? Yeah, he is into the wall there. That's going to be big damage there for him. That's his left-hand side of the wing with massive damage. We may well just see him retire from the race. We'll have to wait and see if Blank wants to carry on. Carry on driving for the distant hope of perhaps a safety car, but no, he has just retired from the race in Sector 1. To be expected there for Blank, though, because he did not have any prospect of really doing anything in this race. But T-Widow is actually quite close up behind his Mercedes teammate here. He does have penalties. I'm not sure exactly the extent and the severity of them.
Penalties.
Well, yeah, we'll have a look now on the excuse me, on the graphic. Yeah, look, Frosty with 9 seconds as well. He's got the most out of all of the drivers. But yeah, Tiny with 8 seconds, T-Widow with 6, Young Ants 3, Haytite 6. Haytite C could be looking at actually dropping all the way out down to perhaps P9 or P10 with those penalties. T-Widow also at risk of losing some positions to the cars behind, but he should be okay if he can keep this gap two young ants, he should be able to limp home in 4th position, but it's going to be interesting to see. We don't want the race obviously being decided on penalties. I don't think it will be, but they're certainly going to have an influence in a few positions. But yeah, the driver's actually managing to keep it relatively clean. I sort of, to a degree, hope that is a commentator curse, because we always want a bit of action, but it's looking like the drivers, it's a testament to their own skill. They're doing a fantastic job there. But we ride on board with Zandvoort, and what do we see? We see the blue flags for Tonebot as he comes through Sector 1. That shouldn't be much of an issue for him, as he is a ghost. A bit of dirty air will be coming into play, but he should be passed pretty easily, and he is. Tiny the next car then up the road, but see, yeah, Tiny could be looking at dropping back if these guys behind him can close the gap to him, but right now he's looking pretty comfortable in 2nd place as well. Actually, have a look here at Calirob. He's fighting with KDSX. He's keeping it very close behind. He has a little look at darting to the inside, thinks better of it, and this is where he had that contact with Frosty, but we don't see the same thing playing out here because there is no mistake from KDSX, but there is a mistake from Calirob. He nearly loses the rear there. He's lost quite a bit of time then to KDSX ahead of him, about a second to be exact. Oh, just the rear end just drifted through that corner. It just did not grip onto the track surface in these wet conditions. That's going to have cost him, so he'll be hoping he has the pace to close back up to KDSX pretty quickly. But that might keep KDSX safe for at least another lap. Of course, the drivers are not going to have the benefit of DRS down the main straight as well, so that's going to hinder them in making moves. Hollow is right behind iConnect now. Hollow with a 3-second time penalty, as does iConnect, so this will be completely for position. And look, oh, iConnect gets onto the grass. He can't get the car around the corner after getting grass on his tyres, and he can't slow it down in the braking zone, and he does go wide. He's lost the position there to Hollow. He does recover back to the track though. He's lost quite a bit of time there, but not too much. He's just going to have to keep his head down now, try and focus on his own race, because it does look like Hollow maybe just has a little bit too much pace for him to keep up. But yeah, Zandvoort every lap just increasing that gap to the car behind him with Tiny Darth Spike, so he's looking pretty damn comfortable still. We've got 11 laps left of this race. We've got Caliber pretty close up to KDSX, so he clearly has the pace. He's closed straight back up again, right back to the same place where they made he made that mistake, and he doesn't make it this time around as Frosty picks up another 3-second time penalty. Calirob just following him through the course now, trying to keep it as close as he can and look for any sort of opportunity, but we're going to see some yellow flags here. That is I think an Alpha Tauri car. Yet it is, it's Kadir. Kadir spins again and hits the wall. He's down in 17th place, and now he's going to need a pit stop. We could see a retirement here from Kadir. He tries to keep it off the track though, as we're going to see the leaders coming past to lap him now. There goes Zandvoort, and then there goes Tiny Darth Spike driving past. But that's big damage there for Kadir. He's going to have to come into the pits because he's really going to be struggling for grip. And there we go. We see T-Widow has passed Terrible. We missed that because we were looking at the incident with Kadir. T-Widow has gotten past Terrible F1, but you've got to remember T-Widow has got 6 seconds worth of penalties where Terrible has none, so he only has to stop his teammate pulling out a 6-second gap in 10 laps, and then that's another penalty for T-Widow. So unless he can start pulling out over a second a lap, it looks like Terrible will be able to hold on to that podium position as they come and pass Tonebot through the chicane. Young Ant's then in 5th place. He's a couple of seconds behind. He does have that penalty, but he wants to just keep it close to T-Widow. That's all he needs to do. If he keeps it close to T-Widow, he will gain a place. As you see T. Darcy picking up a 3-second time penalty. So let's go back to... Let's go have a look at a different view on the detail screen. We'll have a look perhaps at position change. Let's have a look at position change. Let's see who are the big winners and the big losers in this race so far. Well, you've got to say Tiny Darth Spike has had a pretty good race to gain 10 positions. He does have those penalties though, so that may affect it come the end of the race. Then you've got Haytight Gaming. Started in P17, now in P6, so he's driven fantastically well this race. terrible as well, up 9 positions, so absolutely great driving by him, especially to keep it clean and to get absolutely 0 penalties as well. We keep looking... Pardon?
I was saying terrible in position for podium as well.
Yeah, as I was saying before, he's just got to try and keep it close to T Widow, and he will be on the bottom step of the podium. But going wide through turn 3 like that and getting your tyres on the puddles on the outside is not going to help. We look further down, we look at Steinzap. He's lost 11 positions, so that's really not been a good showing for him. Steinmine, championship contender, has stayed in exactly the same place. Tone is the biggest loser here, though, dropping down 16 positions from pole position all the way to 17th. Really not good for him. He will not be happy with that, reflecting on this race, because yeah, he's one of the best around, so he's really going to be kicking himself. Yeah, unless anybody has any spins, there's not quite much to talk about right now. We do have quite a bit of a train in a couple of different places. We've got this little midfield scrap where we've got people like Calirob, KDSX, and Jay might be getting involved as well. Of course, the director of technical services for Performance Racing League as well is Jay. He's very fast with the computers. Is he very fast behind the wheel, though? That's what's going to dictate where he finishes in this race. But we see as well, there's another little group of little gaggle of cars here from P12 Frosty to P14 Stein. Kadir, I think, have been lapped, so he's not in the fight for position, although he is there around there on the track. So we have a look through, and we see the smallest gaps here is probably between Calirob and KDSX. These guys have been really close to each other for about 4 or 5 laps now, perhaps even longer than that, as we see Young Ants picking up a 3-second time penalty. And yeah, we'll ride on board with Calirob for a little while unless something else happens, because he's looking the most likely to try and make an overtake in the remainder of this race. Obviously in P8 he's down 6 positions from where he started in P2. This has been a disastrous race for the McLaren team. But he wants to get past that Williams car and up into P7, trying to reduce the damage. He's trying to go around the outside of every corner. He's got more pace, but it's so difficult to make an overtake around here if the driver in front just positions their car correctly. Oh, and he really struggles to just get the power down off the last corner, and that's going to really hurt him. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to make a move down this straight because of that.
Just goes to show you how difficult it is to make a pass here.
Yeah, it's all corners, and especially in the wet when everything slows down, can be very difficult. You more just have to wait for a driver to make a mistake, because look, Calirob, he's trying every single corner. He's looking, can I go around the outside? Can I nip it down the inside? But just nowhere is quite working for him. KDSX doing an absolutely fantastic job with less pace than Calirob, to actually be able to position his car in a way that's just not letting Calirob have the opportunities. KDSX just needs to keep it clean, make sure he doesn't get big bouts of oversteer or doesn't go wide, touches grass or anything, or make any mistakes, and he should be able to keep Calirob behind for the next 7 laps. Granted, he drives well, but look, let's go down to T Darsin, because he's very close to Steinzap. There's only a 10th between the two drivers as Steinzap laps Kadir. Look how close they are. They're really nearby. The gap has now increased, though, from 4 to 4 tenths. It was down to only 1 before. And here's an interesting thing to look at as well. We can look at we can get a gist for who has had the cleanest race as well by looking at the amount of pit stops. We see obviously Kadir stands out as not having a clean race at all with 5 pit stops, and we have seen him needing quite a few wing changes. But I think, could we see the most interesting battle?
The movement down the inside. Does he get the better exit? KDS holds on.
Going to try and get the exit. Yeah, he may look to dive it down the inside. He really needs to try and make this move work. He's going to go down the inside of KDSX. He's going to hold it around the outside. And Calibub can't quite get past. We'll see if there's an opportunity on the next little straight if he can get a good exit, but I don't think that's going to happen. They're coming up to the left-hander now, and Kadir is just keeping it ahead. Not Kadir, sorry. KDSX is keeping it just ahead. And is that a car being lapped, or is that a car making a mistake? It was Frosty, I think, getting past, perhaps. And we have a yellow flag in Sector 1. That's for a Williams car, for a an AlphaTauri, and it's Kadir. Kadir was catching up to Tonebot for P17, and then he's made that mistake. He's gone off the track. But look at this. Look, Frosty and Steinzap. Frosty making a little bit of contact. He's trying to send it round the outside, but he's just run out of road completely. He manages to avoid the barrier. He's got to watch out he doesn't spin, though, because he has no grip out there on that tarmac where there's all those puddles. And T. Darcy manages to swoop past down the inside to pick up a free position to get himself up into P13. He's going to be trying to chase Steinzap down, perhaps trying to make a move on him in a lap or so. We'll see if they make any mistakes. And Calibub's dropped back from KDSX again, though. He's got more pace than KDSX, but he just seems to have a little bit more of a proclivity towards making some mistakes, and that's really hurting him around here. We've got only 5 laps remaining now, so you would have to say around 10 to 11 minutes of racing, bar any safety cars or virtual safety cars, as we see Hollow and Frosty going side by side through the final corner. Looks like they're going to have a drag race. We'll see who has the better setup for the straight. Hollow's gotten the move done so far. We'll see if Frosty has another look. The teammates trying to keep it clean here. Coming through T1. But yeah, Hollow's got that position, and he's got away pretty easily. And look, Calibub now down below 3/10 now, the gap between him and KDSX. KDSX goes defensive. He goes and tries it around the outside. Calibub here on KDSX. Could this be the time that the McLaren driver finally gets the move done on the Williams? He leaves him just enough space on the outside, and he is past KDSX. KDSX, though, all hope is not lost if he can try and keep it close through this final corner and maybe try and make a pass down the next 2 straights. But it looks like Calibub has finally, after 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 laps or so of trying, has finally gotten that pass done on KDSX, who is now falling back towards the clutches of IT Support J. J4 IT, as we're going to have to rename him, I think, in P9, with only a half a second gap to KDSX ahead of him. He's going to be maybe trying to look at making a pass, but I think he's going to have to wait for the next lap, bar any mistake from KDSX. Also, Calibub with a small gap now to Haytite ahead of him. But let's look down at Hollow, and Hollow is going to be trying to make a move on T. Darcy. He's going down the inside. He gets the move done before the corner and manages to swoop back onto the racing line. We'll see if T. Darcy can provide an answer to him, if he can get the traction down and get in the slipstream, but he can't, because Hollow is going to keep that position to turn 3. He maybe will try and see if he can set himself up on a good lap, on a good line, sorry, through the start of this lap, through Sector 1, but looks like Hollow is going to be comfortably ahead of him for now. Let's go back as well, and we'll see Iconex is very close to Frosty.
So close.
Yeah, he's caught straight up to Haytite Gaming, but we're going to ride on board still with Iconex, because he can try and make a move down the inside at the chicane. Is he going to risk it? Frosty getting on the grass. He's going to struggle to get the car slowed down. They do make a bit of contact. That's Frosty off. Frosty is off onto the grass. I think he's tapped the barrier, but Iconex has gotten past, and I don't think that's going to be any sort of penalty. That was just, I think, a racing incident by those 2 drivers as Frosty made that mistake and got caught on the grass. But we'll go back to Calibub. As you were saying, Yuppie, he's very close to Haytite Gaming. You can see he's got so much pace compared to the drivers around him. He just can't quite make use of it because it's so difficult to make passes around here. Only 3 laps remaining now, though, so he's going to have to get a move on. It looks like 6th position might be the best he can hope for, unless there are any major squabbles or anything up ahead of him. Young Ants also within half a second of Terrible F1, who's really struggling for pace, and he's dropped back 0.8 of a second now to to T Widow ahead of him. We'll have a look at the penalties, but we were saying before that it doesn't look like T Widow will be able to keep his podium position because of his penalties. But look, he only has to pull out another 6/10 in 3 laps. So if T Widow can manage to outpace his teammate that much, he will earn himself a podium spot unless Young Ants can do anything about it. He does have some good pace. Tobel really needs to hold him up. But look, Calibob has now gotten past Haytite Gaming down the inside. Haytite's going to try and fight it though through the final corner. He manages to get back ahead. Then the rear kicks out and he loses the position to Calibob. But look how close they are. He's going to be in the slipstream. We do see yellow flags as well for a Ferrari car. I think that might be Frosty in sector 2. But look, here we're going to see Haytite maybe have a look to go down the inside. He's going to switch back to the outside to go on the driest line he can through the corner, trying to get a good exit. We've got yellow flags still in sector 2 for that Ferrari. We'll try and have a look at some point when we get the chance to, as I think that's JC who manages to go past him. He's gotten it going again though, so we'll see. I think it was Frosty. He's may have picked up a bit of damage there, made a mistake in sector 2, but we'll go back to Young Ants, who is now really close to Table. Only 4/10 between those two drivers. They're the closest battle I think on track right now. We'll bring the penalty view back away and see in sector 3 as well. I think that's might be the same Ferrari. Yeah, it is. It's not Hollow. It's Frosty, who has now got big wing damage. And then we see coming up behind them, who is that? I think that's Terrible and Young Ants in their little fight, getting past that Ferrari, who is now a lapped car. We've got yellow flags in sector 3 as he keeps driving, letting everybody pass though. And look at that, that's Young Ants in a spin. Young Ants has been tagged from behind by Calibob. Calibob's gotten past, and Haytite Gaming has gotten past Calibob, and KDSX, he's seen the opportunity as well, and he's gone past Calibob. We've got more contact going on behind. I think that's Young Ants, and then the Ferrari that was lapped of Frosty going straight into the wall. The race is not over yet, folks, because look, Calibob is now right up behind KDSX, only 3/10 between them. He's gonna hate it being stuck behind KDSX. He was for so long. He made the move and then he made a mistake. Haytite and KDSX managing to sweep straight back past him, relegating Calibob down to P7. We'll see if he has an answer to KDSX into this braking zone, but I don't think he will. It'd be too ambitious to try and make a move there. And this race, it just does not disappoint. Races do not disappoint here in Performance Racing League. They never do, and they never will. As Haytite runs a little bit wide, he picks up a 3-second time penalty. This could really bring him into the clutches of KDSX through penalties. And look at that, that's a big mistake by Calibob as we ride on board with him. He gets a bit of oversteer out of turn 4, sorry. Manages to avoid the wall, but he's gotten caught in the grass, and look, he's lost so many positions. He's down to P9 now. It wasn't too bad of a recovery drive from Calibob when he got up to about P5, and then 2 mistakes in 2 laps, and he's almost out of the points again. See, Steinmine as well is close to Kenny 25. He's going to be looking at making a move. I think 10th would be a good finish for Kenny, based on where I think where he started, but Steinmine will definitely want better than P11 in his conquest for a championship. So we'll see if maybe he can try and make a move down the straight. But there's Kenny's really holding his own though. His pace quite good here against Steinmine, who's struggling in the dirty air. Kenny managing to just manage that gap around a second for the time being through sector 3. So we hear the sound reverberating from the engine off of the barrier in the last corner. And yeah, Steinmine, he's got 1 lap now to try and get past Kenny. Calibob as well, closing straight back up to Young Ants, because Calibob has got so much pace that he just hasn't been able to use. These guys being the cork in the bottle for Calibob. But look, Zandvoort has got a 4-second gap behind. He's got no penalties as we see Calibob picking up a 3-second time penalty. He's coming through the 3rd and final sector. Now it's Zandvoort 2020 who has controlled this race since everybody else made mistakes. Everybody else at the front threw it away and Zandvoort didn't. He kept his cool. He's going to come through the final corner now. Zandvoort 2020, barring any big mistake, he manages to get it straightened up and he crosses the line to win the Hungarian Grand Prix. A little bit of a wiggle on the line in celebration. That's a fantastic drive. Tiny's going to come home in P2, picking up a 5-second time penalty, but I think T-Widow might jump him. T Widow doesn't. He stays in P3. We'll see. Can Terrible jump T Widow? I don't think he will with the penalties, you know. I think that's gonna be our podium as we see a yellow flag again for, I think that's Frosty, and yeah, it is gonna be Zandvoort, Tiny and T Widow on the podium. Terrible in P4, JP5, KDSX coming home in 6th, followed by Haytite Gaming, and then Cali Robbie, who's been held up so much in this race, coming home in P8. Young Ants in P9. Steinmine just getting past Kenny at the death through penalties. We've got Steinzap as well, about to cross the line. He's 25 seconds behind Kenny, so it's quite a big field spread in the end, but that's what you'd expect in wet weather with people making mistakes and a lot of fighting going on as well, with people so close on pace throughout the field. And he's got to take P12. Hollow crossing the line in P13. We've got T Darsin up next as he comes to the final corner. The number 9 Alpha Tauri driver crossing the line to take P14. Then P15 is going to be claimed by iConnect. And there comes Tonebot starting on pole position, dropping all the way down to 16th. But he's beaten 2 real drivers here, Tonebot. So I certainly think Tonebot can maybe make a bid at driving in Tier 2 with Tone in Tier 1 next season. But we'll wait and see. We've got Frosty as well, and Kadir's already finished being lapped as he's been lapped. So the last driver to cross the line is going to be Frosty in P17. So there you go. That rounds up a fantastic race here in Performance Racing League as Frosty gets a little bit of oversteer off the corner. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. Yuppie, thank you very much for co-commentating with me for this amazing race here in Hungary.
Yeah, great race. Thank
you. It's been a pleasure as we see.
It was a lot of fun.
It was an absolutely fantastic race as we see Terrible picking up the driver of the day. So this is where I'm going to leave you all. I hope you guys all have an absolutely great night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks Yuppie for being here. We've had an absolutely fantastic time as we see Zandvoort. I love the dance, mate. Love it. So he shows off his trophy to the adoring crowds. We'll see the the podium celebrations right now. They may as well be the penalty celebrations out there today. But yeah, the Aston Martin Red Bull Racing driver taking P1. The Haas driver of I think who was it again? It was
Tiny Darth.
Tiny Darth in 2nd. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. We're going to end the stream here. Just one final look at the race results with Zandvoort, Tiny and T Widow on the podium. So thanks everyone. Stein's up with the fastest lap of the race, but that won't give him a point because he's outside of the top 10. So thank you everybody for watching. It's been a fantastic time, and I'll see you all guys next weekend.